Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Let's talk about, again, what we always talk about, not really, but we're going to talk about COVID, we're going to talk about Merck, we're going to talk about medications, and just get you caught up on what this new information is showing and really where this data is coming from and why they're approving certain medications and why they're not. So did some research into molnupiravir. I still can't say it. It's challenging. It's a Merck medication. It's the latest and greatest, this new COVID medication that Merck is putting out. Merck, they are also the company that made ivermectin and still make ivermectin. So one of the most common drug companies out there. And this latest and greatest drug actually is getting kind of this fast track through the FDA and trying to get this emergency use approval with that drug for viruses, but especially for COVID. So what is it? What is it doing? What is the research showing? And for those of you that aren't into taking medication, what else can you do to get some similar results? So one of the big reasons why people are excited and they're saying, hey, let's go take on this new drug is there was a study with 775 people. Hey, Olivia, great to see you. And everybody jumping on, I know this is lunchtime, so different time for a lot of you guys. Go ahead and pop down below where you're watching from. Love to see everybody on there, and any questions that you have or thoughts that you have on natural ways to work with viral infections, pop those down below as well. So great to have you guys on, and they're down in Florida. So 775 people were in this study, and these were all unvaccinated and people that had at least one comorbidity, higher risk factor. Hey, Andrea in Michigan. So these were people that had 775 people unvaccinated, at least one, which if somebody has one, they usually have multiple of the risk factors. And what they found was that from the people that took the medication versus people that didn't take the medication, great to see you guys, Amber and Nicole, great to see you as well. So half the people did better that took the medication, and then the people that didn't take the medication, they had basically half the risk if they took the medication of going to the hospital with COVID. So in theory, out of 775 people, and they split them in half, in theory, out of those 380 some patients on each one of those, they had half the risk of going to the hospital. So, you know, it's not like a 40,000, 100,000 person study that we're looking at. Hey, Lorraine, good to see you there. But, you know, it's something, and this medication, in theory, with this small group in the study, did show that it had some effect there. So, you know, decreased hospitalizations by 50%. And what this drug does is it works by, it messes with the RNA in the cell and in that virus, and so that it cannot replicate. So the concern is that it may be mutagenic, meaning it could cause mutation. So in the study, they told people, if you're of childbearing years, male or female, do not take it within 4 days of having intercourse. And if you're pregnant, they were excluded from taking the medication as well. So, you know, kind of interesting in there. They did not see any results on that as far as the potential mutagenic causing birth defects, anything along those lines. Still very early in the process, and you know, mutations can take years and years. Most drugs like this, vaccines, drugs, anything, are 3 to 5 years out before coming to market. So obviously with COVID, we're rushing a lot of things through, and for various reasons for that, but a big part of it is a lot of people are concerned and want to take something, feel like they're doing something. So again, this drug is made by Merck. Merck makes ivermectin and a lot of different drugs out there. The U.S. government has spent $1.2 billion. They've already paid Merck $1.2 billion for 1.7 million doses of this. Right now, they're thinking that that's going to be about $700 for a 5-day dosage, and it would be used early on. So this is one of the big knocks that traditional medicine has had over the last year and a half, is that initial week phase, hey Doreen, good to see you there in Florida, that initial 7-day phase really there isn't much in the medical model, and you're like, okay, well, stay home, drink fluids, stay hydrated, get rest, and if it gets bad, go to the hospital and go on a ventilator. And that's kind of where this path had gone, and there wasn't a whole lot there. So a lot of people are excited about this one because it's something that you can do early on. Even monoclonal antibodies, remdesivir, some of these other drugs, medications, things that people are using were still used later on. And even the monoclonal antibodies, they're going to be used later on and usually have to be injected. The same with the remdesivir, which is, again, at first they were like, oh, people get out of the hospital earlier, but now even studies on that, it's kind of fallen out of favor a little bit, and a lot of people aren't using that anymore just because they did not see a whole lot of improvement from that. So $700, 5 days. It looks like what they're going to do is prioritize this for people that are unvaccinated and for people that have comorbidities, risk factors, things like that. I'm not sure. I imagine if somebody was vaccinated and wanted to get this medication, they could from the doctor if they came down with the infection as well. So the concerns here are going to be for that mutagenic effect, potential cancer. I've read a couple articles where the researchers were worried about this. They definitely wanted more research before throwing it out to the masses, but it looks like it's going to get pushed through pretty darn quickly here. So, is it the be all and end all? Probably not. It's probably not going to be, this wonder drug that everybody can take. They're shipping it off to, I know Bill Gates put 120 million in to ship it off to poor countries and some different things. So they're saying it's probably going to be a $10 to $20 billion drug for Merck this year. So shareholders are pretty excited, and we will see what happens on the front of what's really happening, not just those 775 patients in the study, but actually when they bring it out to market. So what can you be doing instead? So a lot of people come to us and they're just not big on medications. They don't want to take a drug. They don't want the risk factors of mutations and things like that. So there's a lot of research that show getting your vitamin D can decrease hospitalizations. Getting your vitamin D up over 50 can decrease hospitalizations even 50%. So if you haven't checked your vitamin D lately, great bunch of hearts and thumbs up there. I know a lot of you guys watching are in that crowd as well. So get your vitamin D up at least over 50. 60 to 80 is great, but at least into that 50 range. So what you want to do, check your blood work, see where your vitamin D is, and then adjust appropriately through there. So vitamin D is a huge one. Zinc is another great antiviral. So if you're taking zinc, you want to look at something like quercetin as well. Hey, Ann, I had 2 workers that did monoclonal antibody, and they were better in a few hours. Thoughts? Yes. So we actually had one of our team members around the country that had COVID as well, had a hard time, had some lung issues, some different things, and he was able to get monoclonal antibodies. Fever broke within a few hours. Definitely changed the course of that infection. So the monoclonal antibodies we have seen personally with patients as well as team members that it was definitely better in there. So get your vitamin D up at least over 50 is what the research shows for COVID. Decreases hospitalizations by upwards of 50% based on research out there. Zinc, if you're feeling like you're coming down with something, you can get upwards of 75 milligrams of zinc, and you want to take that with quercetin as well. It helps drive zinc into the cell. Zinc by itself has a hard time getting across the cell, but if you combine it, it's going to get in there and do a great job on that one. And then on top of that, vitamin C, sure, it's a nice thing to have on hand. You can take that on the regular basis. NAC is another nutrient that has a lot of benefit for antiviral. It turns into glutathione, which is great for liver, supports and nourishes the liver. A lot of people that are having viral issues are also having liver issues. So NAC is great. And just doing some of these basic things, even doing the xylitol or food grade hydrogen peroxide sprays into the nasal passage, rinsing in your mouth after being out and about, doing some of these basic things to block that potential of getting into the body and that damage. can prevent you from even having to go and make that decision on, do you want monoclonal antibodies? Do you want to have to go on that medication? Do you want to have to go to the hospital? So there it is. That's the latest research that we're seeing at this point. We'll see which way the FDA approves or doesn't, and yet I would guess that they're going to, no matter what, considering our government, we've as people, we've already paid $1.2 billion to Merck for this medication. Victoria, and where do you buy quercetin? Pharmacy, drugstore, over the counter. Yeah, so over the counter, Victoria. Brittany's going to pop down below a link for quercetin. We've got some good sources for that as well. And Renee, yeah, great to see you. Yeah, just love having you guys on here. If you've got questions at all, anything about viral replication or what you're taking, anything like that, drop us a line. We love getting these questions. We have people all over the country that are reaching out and just want to take massive action and do the best they possibly can. So love having you guys on. Stay strong. Your host is way more effective at getting rid of this than any supplement, any drug, anything at all else out there, IVs, whatever. Keep your host as strong as possible. So great to see everybody. Be well. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.